Good morning. How are you diddling? Excellent. Me too. Thank you very much for asking. Welcome to another episode of Dazed and Confused, my 3 times a week live show where I'm sat here and answering your questions about social media, about video, trying to help you get your brand out further than you've ever done before. And most importantly, for free, my favorite 4-letter word. So today we're going to be talking about the fact that it is National Shopping Reminder Day, kind of looming into Friday this week. We've got obviously the festive season around the corner. We've just had the festive season with Diwali and things like that. You've got Hanukkah coming up as well. So there's going to be a lot of gifts being bought, and there's a lot of quotes being thrown around by people, which we're going to talk about today, and talk about how you can and what you are likely to be doing to convince people to buy your products at the moment. First things first, though, who am I to tell you anything about social media? Well, I'm Simon Scholes. I'm the founder and creative director of Perception Studios. We're an award-winning visual marketing agency, and we help brands and businesses around the UK and around the globe create content that helps them stand out on social media. Now, that could be video, animation, area work, all that kind of stuff. However, a few years ago, it became very obvious to me that not every brand, not every business was in a position to spend money on having content created on a regular basis. But we all understand right now that consistency is essential on social media. It's where the attention is. So if you're not putting out content on a fairly regular basis, then the chances are that when you do put out content, it's going to get lost in the throng. But we don't all have time to make loads of content. So how do we make what we've got work harder for us? So I sat down, I came up with a process. I called it How to 9 Times Your Social Media. I turned it into a book. You can still get hold of that book right now as well on Amazon. It's available in the section below. But basically, it's all about how to help you start planning your content, to podcasting, and all the other stuff that hopefully you will do in between as well to make more content so you can be consistent on social media, not monthly, not weekly, but actually daily, because that's what you want. You want to get that consistency out there on all the different platforms, if you possibly can do. I'm not going to talk about removing friction right now, but it is very essential when it comes to social media. Go back and check some of my old content, some of my old lives. I've talked about it in the past. I will talk about it again in the future. But today we're talking about the fact that it is Shopping Reminder Day. Shopping Reminder Day. Welcome to the live where we're going to talk about reminding people that they need to do shopping. I can't believe I need to do this. Thank you very much for joining us, by the way. If you are here today, we're live on Twitch, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, a bunch of different places. So, yeah, come and say hello, just like Corinda has done, who's also shared the live broadcast. Thank you very much, Corinda. And he's watching on LinkedIn. So, yeah, Shopping Reminder Day. Now, this really is a chance for you to showcase your products. It's a chance for you to show people what you're capable of doing, what your brand does, what your values are, all that kind of thing. But how are you going to do it without really ramming your product down somebody's throat? Because we live in an age where we're bombarded with messages all the time. So people don't want you bombarding them with even more messages that are just going to cheese them off and alienate them. So how are you going to actually help people consume what you've got to say, but without really hard selling, but reminding them that this holiday season's coming up and you could create content? And this is where the value of what it is that you do kind of comes into play with social media, because there is a lot of people out there at the moment who are throwing around comments like, I want to shop locally, I want to shop small, but are they really going to do that unless you're creating the content and creating the products for them to see and to find and to buy? Now, you could be a crafter, you could be making clothes, you could be making electronics, whatever it might be. You might just be a small local camera shop, whatever. But how are you going to convince these people to actually buy their products from you rather than popping to Amazon where they might save a few quid? Because let's face it, money is the be all and end all at the moment in a lot of people's minds. But we all still want to support the local businesses, the high street businesses, the online local businesses, the small businesses who are out there. So you need to start creating content that is going to give these people value so that they are willing to buy from you. So rather than literally saying, buy my iPhone, What is the pain point that the iPhone helps those people with? Who is your niche? Who's your avatar? Who are you trying to aim your product at? And then remove that pain point. Show them that you remove that pain point with the content that you're putting out. So I am aiming at people who kind of don't understand social media or want to be creating content. They know they need to, but they aren't in a position to do so because they don't have either the knowledge or the skill set, or they're just not really sure where to begin. So then hopefully coming to watch my content, they will get that knowledge and understand what they need to do so that they can start creating more content and start talking to more people with their brand and their business online. That's what my pain point is, trying to help people do that. Whatever your pain point is, you need to create content around that pain point, but then you can get a little bit more strategy behind it and start thinking, well, what's coming up? Well, Hanukkah and Christmas. So are you going to create content that might appeal to those people within that demographic with your content? What value could you give them? So you've got to think a little bit outside the box. You've got to start removing that pain point within your content. There's no point in just putting up a nice photograph of some face cream and not really saying what your ethos is, especially if you're a vegan company or maybe you're completely into natural products or natural ingredients. Well, tell people about that. Don't just take a photograph of it and expect them to know, because you know they might have just stumbled across your brand and looked at that one image and gone, well, that's great. They look really good and nice, and they don't tell me anything, and go elsewhere. So make sure that your content is telling people what you want them to know about you, about the value you've got to give, about the pain you're going to remove for them, so that they can then make an educated choice, maybe buy on emotion, get emotionally connected to your brand and actually buy from you. But I want you to think about, what would you do if you had a high street shop? How would you get people to come into your store? Would you put just a placard outside, or would you do more to try and get people to come to your shop? Now take that high street shop and put it into a flat, the top of the high block rise of flats. Now, what are you going to do to get them coming to your shop at the top of a block of high rise flats? Because whatever you would do to get them to come into there is exactly what you should do to get them to come into your high street, and it's exactly what you should be doing to get them to come to your online store if that's all you've got. Start thinking about the value, the pain point. You're not going to drag people up a load of stairs where the lift's broken to the top of a high-rise flats to buy something that they don't feel is going to remove or help them in any way, shape, or form. However, going back to, I don't know, like a beauty cream of some sort, if that beauty cream is vegan and really, really helps somebody with eczema, then you need to make sure that the person who's walking past on the high street knows that, so that they will come to the high-rise block of flats and walk up the stairs and go in through your front door and buy your product because they have eczema and they are vegan. You've got to think about that pain point. So what is your pain point? Who is your avatar? Start creating content for them, but give them value. Please don't ram a sale down their throat straight away. I'm not saying selling is a bad thing. Selling is a good thing. That's been drilled into me enough by my speaker I'm chatting to on Friday, George Swift. But there comes a point where you're going to alienate people by ramming it down their throat on your social media content. Give them value and then drop in that sell. But you've got to give them the value first. You've got to tie them in emotionally. And then when they get into your shop at the top of the high-rise block of flats, that's when you say, brilliant. Okay, you've got this eczema cream for your face. Have you tried something for your feet, for your elbows, for dry skin? Then you can start doing the upsell and actually doing some selling. But you've got to get them there in the first place, and then you can sell. So hopefully you've got some value from this. Hopefully you're going to leave this particular live broadcast when we've finished and think, how am I going to remind people to shop with me in the upcoming festive season? And not just that, beyond that point as well, but how are you going to convince people to buy from you in the upcoming festive season and then into 2021? How are we going to make 2021 a shit ton better than 2020 has been? And let's face it won't take a lot, but it does need to be better than it has been. So what are you going to do differently? How are you going to remove that pain and give that value with your content on social media? Okay, you're sat there, you're watching. Hopefully you've got some questions. If you've got any questions at all about social media, about video, about Shopping Reminder Day, stick them into the comments, whatever platform you're on. I'll be able to see them either on my screen right here or on my screen right here on Instagram Live. So please just say hello. Let me know that you're watching, just like Dana O'Steen. Ornstein, is watching at the moment, and we've got a bunch of people watching online. I can see the numbers, so yeah, please just say hello. And if you've got any questions, stick them into the comments. I do have a couple of questions that came in overnight. I'm going to go through those first. This one came through from Chris, who says, I'm looking to spend some money on a simple point and shoot camera so I can start doing things like vlogs, etc. for my brand and business. Do you have any suggestions at all? I do. So I'm going to go two ways here. Number one, my suggestion is don't spend any money and use this thing that's in your back pocket. If you've got a smartphone with a half decent camera on it, use the smartphone. Yes, it's going to use up all your storage, and so you're going to have to run the videos down quickly and succinctly every single day. But that is so be it. You don't have to spend money. You've got the most powerful distribution tool in your back pocket. And it's also a camera, which is really, really handy. And the chances are it'll probably film in 4K too. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but it's a great place to start. And it stops you spending £400-500 you may not necessarily need to spend. You can get yourself into a position where you're creating content regularly. You know you're going to keep creating the content regularly. And then you can start looking at some cameras that might work for you a little bit better. Like the Sony RX100, which is a great low light camera. Me personally, I'm a huge fan of Canon. Canon glass is like my favorite glass to work with. And the Canon glass on the Canon G7X is phenomenal. Even the base level standard Canon G7X, the Mark I, is a brilliant vlogging camera. I used it for a very, very long time. I was very fortunate. I didn't have to buy one. It was given to me by a friend, George Benson, and I was very, very lucky in that aspect. I fixed it, basically. He gave me it, said, look, if you can fix it, you can use it. And I fixed it. And so I used it for a good couple of years worth of vlogging. And it is a brilliant, brilliant camera. Got a great macro lens on it, as well as just a normal vlogging lens. It's got a good shallow depth of field. It looks amazing. So if you're going to spend some money, take a look on eBay, see what you can find. You can get one for about, I think, about 250, 300 quid at the moment. They hold the price quite a lot because it is quite an old camera to be still that price. But it is a really, really great bog standard low level vlogging camera. It's got a built-in mic as well, really good. The Sony RX100, I had one of those as well for a bit. I bought one of those and I enjoyed it, but it doesn't have a flip-up screen. And yeah, it wasn't as good as the Canon. I really, really did prefer the G7X. So that's where I would point you towards, Chris, is going that way. But first things first, just start creating content, get yourself into that process of making using your phone. And then once you know you're going to keep on going, that's when you start thinking about spending some money. Don't do it to start off with. You don't spend money to start off with because there's just no point, because you might not keep it up. I'm not saying you won't. I'm just saying a lot of people will start doing things like vlogs and stuff because they've seen influencers making loads of money from it and they think it's really, really easy. And then they spend a load of money on kit that they don't need to spend on it. And then they make some videos and then they don't really take off as quickly as they thought they were going to. So they stop creating the videos altogether. And basically then all that kit and that money you've spent becomes redundant. And then they have to sell it at a loss. And why not just start with the stuff you've got for free and then spend a little bit of money updating it, upgrading it, getting better and better and better until you've got a nice camera and stuff that you can vlog with and keep growing with. Hopefully that's helped you anyway, Chris. Here's another question as well. By the way, forget, wherever you're watching, if you've got any questions, stick them into the comments. I will come back to them once I've gone through all my questions that have come through. Jane is kind of asking something along the same lines, but not about cameras, saying, I really want to start a podcast, but I don't have the kit or the knowledge on how to edit. What should I do? Number one, again, you don't need the kit. You have a microphone sat in this right now, whether it's an iPhone or a Samsung or whatever, they've all got some sort of voice recording system built into them. Now, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have a piece of kit like this where I can talk to you and have a nice microphone and all that kind of stuff. That's great. It's lovely. But you don't need to go out and spend money on a stand, on a mic, on a spit guard, on a pop shield, basically, all that kind of stuff. You don't need to go and spend all that money if you don't have it, because you do have a great tool right here, which will be good enough to start with. I am not saying it is the perfect tool, but it is good enough to begin with to get you started creating content. Now, when it comes down to the editing, this is kind of up to you. You can either sit down and learn how to use free tools like iMovie, where you can edit the audio. It doesn't have to be just video, and download it and render it down as an MP3. Or you can download free software like Audacity to your computer, where you can then do editing on your Mac or on your PC. It's very much like Adobe Audition, but a free version, obviously limited, but still pretty good for doing the bog standard stuff that you may want to do. If you then get skilled at it, then you can look at things like Adobe Audition. But to start with, I would just say start recording. Go and learn how to edit audio using YouTube tutorials, all that kind of stuff. If you are really against the learning aspect of it, then pay somebody to do it. Pay somebody to help you create your podcast. Now, is that going to be cheap? Not necessarily. Do you have the money? Maybe you do. If you do, spend it with somebody who knows what they're doing. Spend it with somebody who's going to sit down and go through your marketing with you, go through your plan with you, help you understand what the podcast can become, what it could do for your brand and for your business, and not somebody who's just going to stick you into a pod so you get loads and loads of listens and stuff, but somebody who's going to help you create lots of content with your podcast and help you set it up in the first place. But if you don't have any money, just use this. YouTube is your best friend. Use the tutorials, learn how to use Audacity, edit the audio up, take out the ums and the ers if they're really, really bugging you. Take out all those crutch sayings that you might use over and over again. Take out any massive pauses and just release your podcast. It doesn't have to have a fancy intro and outro. It doesn't have to have music. Those are all nice to haves. They're good to have, but they're not essential to get you started. And I think for you, Jane, you've already mentioned the fact that you don't have the kit. You do have the kit. I think you just need to get past that mindset block of getting started in the first place. So get started and then start thinking about editing and intros and outros and all that kind of stuff. Okay, hopefully you got some value there. Hello to Pink Spaghetti Southampton and Sam Balshaw, who've joined us this morning on Instagram, and a bunch of people who've joined us here on the live stream as well. No questions have come in. So that obviously means I've answered everything today. So thank you very much for watching today. On Friday, I am going to be back again for a late night shift. We're going to be here at 7 o'clock chatting to George Swift from Bigger, Brighter, Bolder, all about mindset, all about mindset coaches and gurus online and all that kind of stuff. We're also going to hopefully have a few ideas to try and help you get through to the end of this year as a small brand and as a small business. Or as a big brand and as a big business, then you still might be struggling. But we want to get you through to the end of this year. So George is going to help you with that. And if you've got any questions at all for him, get them in now, and then I can throw them at him on Friday at 7 o'clock when we will be live with another episode of Dazed and Confused. But until then, thank you very much for watching. If you're brand new, whatever platform you're watching on, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, you can now hit the notifications bell so that you get reminded every time that I'm going to go live as well. But until Friday, in this crazy situation we're all in, we're still in it at the moment until next Thursday. Please continue to stay safe and have a speak to you soon.